Vendors are counting their losses following another fire at the Ray Ray Market on West Queen Street in downtown Kingston this morning.
More than 100 stores were destroyed by the fire, which started after 4 o'clock. TVJ's Vashon Brown has more.
A raging fire at the Ray Ray Market in downtown Kingston. Stalls, clothes and just about any other item you can think of going up in flames. Vendors and residents watched as the firefighters worked. It all started about minutes after 4 Tuesday morning. Some of the vendors say it's heartbreaking because they're still picking up the pieces after fire destroyed a section of the market last November. And now it's almost time for back to school.
It hurt my heart. You understand me? It hurt my heart because I have a little 5-year-old, you know. Me and mother and father fearing a one. You understand? So, I know the setback feel year after year after year. You understand me? And it hurt for it.
Another vendor, Ingrid, says she's tired of the holiday fires at the market.
I lost like hair, wigs, like clothing, shoes, handbag, costume accessories. All of those things I tell.
I'm fed up and tired right now. Yeah. Burnout 4 years now. 4 times a burnout now. 4 times.
Head of the Kingston and St. Andrew Division of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Andrew Russell, says the cause of the fire is not yet known.
We initially responded with 3 fire units at 4:59. We were later supported with additional units from Spanish Town and Portmore.
The market falls in the Tivoli Gardens Division of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KCMC. Councillor Donovan Samuels says there are issues to be fixed.
Our vendors really don't have insurance, and the facilities under which they operate is kind of conducive to this kind of fire. Everything on this location has been burned. And we need to look at a way to organize the stores in such a way that if one section is burned, at least it doesn't affect the next section.
The municipal corporation says it will hold an urgent meeting to identify where the displaced vendors will be relocated in the interim. The corporation says it is not able to say whether the vendors will get assistance. Chief Executive Officer at the KCMC, Robert Hill, has responded to concerns that the corporation is not doing enough to prevent market fires.
I will have to disagree with the notion there is what we depend on is the goodwill of our citizens to act in a safe and responsible manner. We also have to be cognizant of our limited budget to respond to these issues, and we rely heavily on the fire brigade and security forces.
Vashon Brown, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, opposition spokesman on local government, Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, is calling on the authorities to quickly investigate the cause of the fire.
When we determine what has caused it, we can then determine what the response should be. Is it that we need additional security in terms of what's happening down there? Is it that persons are not being careful enough in terms of the other activities? Or is it arson? Because these things will help to determine where we turn and how we make sure it does not occur again.
Dr. Brown-Burke is also asking Mayor Delroy Williams to address issues facing vendors at 2 other markets in the corporate area.
So I want to ask the mayor, at the same time that he's looking at the individuals from Railway Ground, to remember the vendors at the Redemption Arcade. And then, of course, please do not forget the vendors at the Constant Spring Market. And these vendors, they haven't been displaced by fire, by arson or anything like that. They have been displaced by the very action of the KCC.
And vendors who sell at the Ocho-Rios Transportation Center are taking issue with the St. Ann Municipal Corporation about the recent increase in fees. However, the municipal corporation says the increases are justified. TVJ Shamela Pullen reports.
The Ocho-Rios Transportation Center in St. Ann, a popular spot with over 30 vendors. Here's where they make a living, selling to passengers and transport operators. They have a grouse with the municipal corporation about the recent hike in fees.
I used to pay like $1,300 per week, and for right now it's $8,400. I'm supposed to pay.
You got to pay $650 a week. And them say them bring it now come to me to pay $4,600 a week.
The vendors say the increase is not uniform. Merlin James is one of the vendors.
The first person who did have the shop was a snack shop, I understand. And it's Monday, I know that it still remains as a snack shop. It's only 3 cook shop in here registered as cook shop. My one is a snack shop and I don't know why, because I don't say snack.
Ms. James and the other vendors are asking the municipal corporation to reduce the magnitude of the increase. They have signed a petition and now await a response.
Is there somebody else there who wants and they want to push me out to give them or what? From what I understand, I don't know. I just want to know what is going on. Somebody is there because we have nobody to talk to.
TVJ News reached out to the municipal corporation about the vendors' concern and was told by Chairman of the Commercial Services Committee, Councillor Ian Isaacs, that the increase is justified.
We rent according to the square footage. When we have done our assessment, we have realized that a number of persons have increased substantially, which would take up about 2 to 3 shop spaces, and so we have decided to charge accordingly.
Mr. Isaacs also refuted claims that the vendors were not given enough notice before the fee was increased. He said the vendors were notified 7 days ahead of the increase. Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
There are renewed calls this evening from some residents of August Town for the police to relax the curfew imposed in the community. Business operators argue that the curfew is affecting sales. TVJ's Anthony Lugg reports.
Scenes like these earlier this year in August Town resulted in the police imposing strict security measures, like a 7 o'clock closing time for businesses in the community. When we visited the community in April, residents were upset.
I can't tell us I can't make ends meet. I can't make ends meet.
Fast forward some 4 months later, not much has changed.
Come like we at jail.
Why?
Because we just locked down, so like, alright, right that's on my gate. And if you sit right at your gate right there, so, them tell us I must get up and go inside.
But business operator Mimsy Small thinks differently.
The police trying their best because they don't want to know that you're out at 10, 11 o'clock and any violence flare up, you're getting it.
The police argue that the measure was implemented to ensure the safety of residents, but the business operators say that approach is hurting.
Right now business is slow for us. Sometimes we even think to close down. But close down and do what? That is the next thing.
Buses stop run at a certain point. If you're going to lock down the community, it have to be after bus stop running.
The most recent killing includes a drive-by shooting in July in the section of Augusttown known as Jungle 12. With frequent drive-by shootings happening here in the community of Augusttown, already residents in a section of Jungle 12 have decided to take matter into their own hands by installing 8 of these mechanisms to protect themselves.
They have to erect sleeping police because the police cannot protect them.
But Inspector Keith Steele, sub-officer in charge of Augusttown, on Tuesday defended the curfew.
Between 2011 and 2016, 30 incidents of murder recorded in the community. That's 30 murders in 6 years. And between the 1st of January 2017 and the 23rd of July 2018, 25 persons has been killed in this community. Something is wrong.
And it appears it may be a while before the curfew is lifted.
There's a gang conflict in this area with Jungle 12, Hermitage, Bedward Gardens, May Lane, and the Bryce Hill community. They're all up in arms against Jungle 12. And what is happening is that if we allow people to do what they want, all the criminal elements want is the opportunity to kill people.
I will never be the one to tell police how to operate. But what I can say, if you see that you are doing something and it's not working, you have to try something else.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
Our top story this evening, up in smoke, vendors face losses after yet another fire at Kingston's Ray Ray Market. Still ahead, pesky pests, cockroaches infest the JUTC bus. And in business news, the dollar slips to a new low. We'll be right back.
Punch off. Punch on. Punch off. Punch on. just the flavor they need. New Kraft Punchers. 100% fruit juice with vitamin C and no added sugar.
Sagicor Bank was the only bank that offered to even listen to my business plan.
The time by Sagicor Bank is
7:14.
I have a few words that I needed to think about when it comes to auto insurance. Fast cover, competitive rates, fast claim settlement. Fast, competitive, fast. AutoSmart Insurance. Fast cover, fast, competitive, fast. That's what makes AutoSmart Insurance the smart auto insurance. Faster coverage, use your phone. Call 876-632-8260. From zero to covered, it's 60 seconds. AutoSmart Insurance.
This Wednesday on TVJ's Quest for Quiz, Buff Bay Primary battles Alley Primary at 6:30 p.m. on your leading station, TVJ.
Quest for Quiz brought to you by Omni Educator. Call 1-888-MY-NEEDS today.
Coming up on E-Prime tonight, Jamaica's independence festivities concluded yesterday with the grand gala celebrations. And Cha-Ching Ching gearing up for his Euro.
The infestation has renewed calls for passengers to stop eating on the buses. TVJ's Kalisha Williams reports.
It was an early morning ride like no other on this JUTC bus transporting passengers from Portmore into Kingston. This is a cell phone video showing passengers on the bus being bugged by roaches. One of the pests is smacked by a passenger. That aside, inside the bus is unclean. Garbage on the floor and the seats. Then this, food spilled on the floor, feeding the roaches. But according to Managing Director of the JUTC, Paul Abrams, the buses are cleaned nightly. So what's causing the infestation?
The challenge that we face is that commuters are consistently eating on the buses, and that attracts these insects. We have a fumigation program that will start for the school term in September.
It brings us to the ongoing issue of eating on the JUTC buses. The company banned the practice in 2014, but it's obvious the policy is not working. Mr. Abrams explains that the company will be intensifying efforts to cut out eating on the buses.
Let me assure you that we do not have such an issue consistently. One or two buses may escape the program, but it's something that we pay very close attention to.
Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
A firefighter was injured and several motorists shaken following a 9-motor vehicle crash in Montego Bay, St. James this afternoon. Even as investigations continue, there is debate surrounding who caused the crash.
There have long been concerns about the traffic congestion in downtown Montego Bay. On Tuesday afternoon, things crescendoed when 7 vehicles parked in the vicinity of Market Street were hit by a fire truck. A taxi parked on the opposite side of the road was also hit. Robert Mackenzie was inside.
I was in my vehicle, sit down, drinking my soup, and this time we are alone. The fire truck coming up full speed with nice siren on, but it was on the red. Coming the next vehicle now, coming what is on the green, coming across. So when him come across, he slam into the fire truck. The fire truck come beat, they come through the red light and lick it. And he lick the fire truck. The fire truck come over, come lick my vehicle. And go up and lick some others.
His taxi is damaged, but he's unhurt. The female driver of the fire truck was, however, injured. She was taken to hospital, but we're told that her injuries are not life-threatening. The crash sent persons in the vicinity scampering. Eyewitness Marva Crawl says she didn't know where to run.
Stand up right at church gate, that's what you have to say. So when me see he lit the car, he lit the one there. When he lit this car, if he never lit this car, the truck would have turned over for a year. So that he lit this
James, already pressed with resource constraints, the station now has one less truck.
The road safety unit says 207 persons have been killed on the road since the start of the year. They were killed in 182 crashes. The number of fatalities are, however, down 4% when compared with a similar period in 2017. Almost 1 in every 4 persons killed on the road was a pedestrian. The figure was similar for people who died from motorcycle crashes. The parish with the highest number of road fatalities was St. Catherine. About 1 in every 5 road deaths was recorded in that parish.
The water level at the Hermitage Dam in St. Andrew is now at 30%. Late last month, the dam was at 42.5% of its capacity. Corporate Communications Manager at the NWC, Charles Buchanan, says inflows to the catchment facility have reduced significantly.
As a consequence of that, we're not able to produce the daily volume of water which we need to meet all the needs of the persons connected to the Hermitage Constant Spring Water Supply System. So that shortage of water on the system often manifests itself in some areas worse than in others. And it's often not because we are making any deliberate choice at the Water Commission, but because of the nature of how water flows.
He says recent rainfall had no effect on the dam.
Some little bit of rainfall in the course of the last few days up in the St. Andrew Hills. It's been very light, and what some of my guys refer to as just farmer's rain. It's just enough to wet up the plants and refresh them and revive them a little, but nothing to soak into the earth and to make any difference in the flows from the rivers.
Residents of Old Harbour Bay in St. Catherine took to the streets in protest today, claiming they're not getting the jobs at the Jamaica Public Service Company power plant in the area. The people say outsiders have been getting employment at the construction site for the new plant, but why does the JPS says it's shocked at the accusations? TVJ's Krista Campbell explains.
A new Jamaica Public Service JPS 190 megawatt power plant now under construction in Old Harbour Bay, St. Catherine. It's the showpiece of efforts to stabilize electricity prices in Jamaica. At the entrance of the construction site on Tuesday, residents who say they've been completing the registration process for jobs but have not been getting any.
I sign up as driver. I do mesa work, I sign up as mesa work. I'm willing to do even laboring work because I want the work. When they come out of the gate, all them do is come and pint 10 man and say they want them 10 man, then 10 man, then I sign up round at the center.
He's referring to the community center where residents have been told to register indicating their skills before they will be considered for employment. But they claim while they follow the rules, persons from elsewhere have been getting the nod ahead of them.
Most of us have been looking this work about 2 years now. Some of us have volunteered to do work because they told us that we would get work if we volunteer.
People from Mobile there, Spanish Town, Kingston, St. Thomas, Portland, Hanover, St. Elizabeth, and everywhere else in Jamaica.
JPS Media and Public Relations Manager Audrey Williams says she's surprised at the protest and claims when 225 persons from Old Harbour Bay and surrounding areas have been employed on the construction site. She, however, notes that whenever certain expertise is lacking, persons are employed from outside. Meanwhile, Counsel for the Old Harbour Bay Division, Lloyd Grant, warns that the subcontractors have been breaching the agreement with the JPS by employing persons with certain specialized skill sets who bypassed the registration process. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
Barbados' former Minister of Industry, International Business, Commerce and Small Business Development, Donville Innes, has been indicted in the United States with conspiracy to launder money and money laundering. This follows his alleged acceptance of bribes from a Barbadian insurance company in 2015 and 2016. Mr. Innes, who is 52 years old, was arrested last Friday and arraigned yesterday in a federal court in Tampa, Florida. He was released on a $50,000 bond. According to the indictment, between August 2015 and April 2016, Mr. Innes engaged in a scheme to accept $36,000 in bribes from high-level executives of an unnamed insurance company headquartered in Barbados and laundered the money through the United States. In exchange for the bribes, Innes leveraged his position as a Minister of Industry to enable the Barbados company to obtain 2 government contracts. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is calling for the increased use of technology to maximize agricultural production and the country's economic growth prospect. Here's TVJ's O'Shane Masters with the details.
Agriculture is big business, and that's why Prime Minister Andrew Holness saw it fit to merge the Ministry of Industry and Commerce with the Ministry of Agriculture. The purpose of the move was to increase economic growth, but Mr. Holness laments that even though that has been done, there still isn't much growth in the economy.
Of our 56 years, it is estimated that 40 or so years of independence, we have had an average growth of somewhere in the region of just below 1% per year. That isn't classified really as growth. And Jamaica has to solve the growth conundrum in which we find ourselves.
Speaking at the annual Denby Agricultural Show in Clarendon yesterday, the Prime Minister expressed that for too long, agriculture has been taken for granted. With that, he is urging farmers, investors and other stakeholders to increase the use of technology in agriculture.
And applying technology to agriculture may not necessarily overcome the competitive economies of scale that larger countries have, but it can bring us to a point where our agriculture is economically viable and sustainable.
The Prime Minister has also called on the Jamaica Agricultural Society, JAS, to get more young people involved in agriculture. He says once this is done, then the government's plan of engaging in smarter agriculture will be realized.
I want to encourage the JAS, and in fact, the new president of the JAS, to encourage young people who are more attuned and have a greater affinity to technology, to encourage them into agriculture and encourage them to be innovative and to create a smarter kind of agriculture that will add more value to our natural resources, thereby increasing the pace of growth of the Jamaican economy.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Time now for the responses from our friends on Facebook and Twitter, and Janetta is at the smart board.
Thank you so much, Doreen. Here's a reminder of our feedback question tonight. We're asking, is the annual Independence Grand Gala still relevant? And did you enjoy this year's event? This comment here reads, some might say no, it has lost its savor, but without a doubt, it is important. We as a country have come a far way. And even though we are buried by our economy, which continues to deplete by the second, this day symbolizes the day when we were officially called victors. Grand Gala was a success and I would not have it any other way. Another comment here reads, yes, I think it's very relevant. This year was very good, especially in that they got the audience very involved. All the participants were awesome. Well done, JCDC. And this one reads, yes, it is essential. This year was excellent. It shows that lots of planning went into it. The audience were well involved. Good job to the team. And another one here reads, I thoroughly enjoyed the show, but being from Canada, I'm not used to the unruly and disorganized behavior of people trying to get in. Having only 2 entrances for so many people made no sense, and say for people with young children. Keep those comments coming at facebook.com/Television Jamaica and tweet us at Television Jam. The Business Day and news from overseas are after the break. Please stay with us.